We will, of course, always be grateful for that, and we will always be in love with him. But to talk about brand Sachin Tendulkar, we have three very special guests, Ajay Jadeja, Prahlad Kakkar and Santosh Desai, to talk about the brand that perhaps will live beyond Sachin Tendulkar. Ajay, I'll begin with you. You've been with him in the dressing room. How true is this retirement? He will not play one-day internationals, but he will continue to play Test cricket. Is this hoax?
Look, he hasn't played, one-day internationals for about, 8-9 months now, ever since the Asia Cup early this year. So, he hasn't played, but, he's made a call, and I respect each call that he's made, not just this one.
But it's a call that's probably been made under pressure, Ajay, because, it's not probably one that he would have picked. Because, look at the day he announced his retirement. It was the day the team was being selected for Pakistan, under a lot of pressure from former cricketers and the media as well.
It is. It's unfortunate. I mean, you just, you just said the lines. A lot of pressure from former India cricketers and media. So I think a lot of former cricketers and the media should, think about before what they say. Here's a man who's, carried on playing cricket without saying a word. In fact, he's never, come out and made a point. He's always talked with his bat. So if he's made that call, and especially you feel that it is because of that pressure, it doesn't. It shows us in bad light, people who are outside the game, former cricketers and people in the media. He still hasn't complained. He's just gone about doing his business because he's gone about playing cricket as he's done for the 23 years. He had already stopped playing one-day cricket, so no change from him. He's just carrying on playing, and that's why I call him master, and he is the master.
Oh, he indeed is. And so which is why let's get in the brand guys into this debate. Prahlad, I'm going to come to you. How much of an impact do you think Sachin's retirement from one-day internationals will really have on his existing endorsement contracts, which are really up for renewal? Do you see a few of them being revised downwards or discontinued?
See, everybody expects that his endorsement future is now going to be a little shaky because he's retired and he's no longer excitingly sort of stopping traffic in Bombay. But I have a different opinion on this. I think after a little bit of a gap and a little deep breath, I think if his managers and he get together and put their heads together, you'll realize that he's unique. He'll always be unique. Not only was he unique, but he always will be, because the kind of records that he has set, the manner in which he's procured his runs, if anybody's watched him in full flow, he is indelible. Now, they should cash in on that. If I was Sachin, I would renegotiate my contracts upwards and not downwards.
Fair point. But what about the timing of his retirement? Santosh Desai, comment on that. It's, the fact is that he's retired at a time when he's not quite at the peak of his career. It's after a series of failure. How will advertisers view this, according to you?
The entirety of his career, the contribution that he has made, the kind of figure that he has become, what he has come to represent, I think those are the things that start, assuming much greater importance than the specifics of his, of his scores in the last 5 innings or the circumstances around his retirement. So I think in the lead up to it, obviously this question has been salient in everyone's mind. And for most commentators, it is clear that had he retired, say in 2011, after winning the World Cup, from a strictly sort of a storyline perspective, that would have been a high point to go. But I think from an endorsement perspective, while that has some minor immediate consequences, today the people who are with Sachin are not there because of his last 3 innings. They are there because of what Sachin Tendulkar is. And that, the circumstances of his retirement, that is not going to dramatically change that particular script.
Ajay Jadeja, do you think endorsements would have weighed on his minds at all when he took this decision to retire from ODI cricket? Because let's face it, it's T20 and one-day cricket that bring in the money. Many of your colleagues, former cricketers, have believed that he's probably prolonged his career. Do you think endorsements would have played on his mind at all? You know him well.
Look, just to give you, how probably Sachin Tendulkar thinks, to make you understand how, he must have started playing. Unlike most people, when they go into a college or they take a degree, or, when they're old enough to understand economics and what they need to do, this man started playing for India at the age of 16. And in those days, even if you played for 10 years, 20 years, it wasn't a profession. Yes, I mean, but you grow and somebody would, argue and say, look, maybe he's grown, now he understands all this. I don't think, I mean, this is my personal opinion and I can even probably say that I don't think he really thinks about these things. When you're playing cricket, you don't have that much time to think about what's happening around you. You have these managers who think about it. Maybe the managers and people who are managing you might have different interests. But whatever little that I know of him, the time that I've spent with him, this man enjoys being on that cricket field. He just loves playing the game, whether it's batting, bowling, fielding. And I don't think he thinks beyond that, because even if you just follow, I mean, if somebody who's followed his career for 23 years that he's lived in public life, how many times have you heard him or his opinion about anything else beyond just his batting or cricket? He's very focused. He's lived that way. I can, assure you that even during a test match, if the family was there, the kids, I mean, there's nothing bigger in life. Somebody who's a parent now understands that, when you have children, they always come first, no matter what, you put ahead of that. Even they were asked to stay in a separate room. So this is a man who's put in his life just playing this sport. So I don't think these decisions are taken by him thinking about what the endorsements are going to do.
All right, so endorsements really haven't been on the back of his mind as he makes this decision. Prahlad, let me come back to you. Marketing experts and celebrity agents all say that Tendulkar's retirement from the shorter or perhaps the more vibrant form of the game is likely to dilute his image as a youth icon and discourage companies to employ him as their brand ambassador. Do you agree, and do you see him shifting towards the older, the more jaded brand, so to say?
Well, brand like Pepsi and all anyway had moved on from Sachin and Rahul and people like that as youth icons. So, I mean, though we need young and dynamic people, the fact is that there are a hell of a lot of other products which are stylish, which are top of the line, which are bloody expensive, which young people don't necessarily or can't afford, especially luxury brands. And they will go for Sachin in a big way because his interest in cars, his interest in watches, his interest in clothes, he'll be perfect for that.
Santosh, several leading Indian cricketers who've retired in the past few years have really seen their endorsements shrink. And this is in public domain, this is public knowledge. Endorsements have gone to younger and more promising players such as Virat Kohli. Will Tendulkar be an exception for the legend that he really is?
Are cricketers who are well-regarded cricketers, but they do not represent anything more. They do not have a permanent place in a psyche in quite the same way as a Sachin has. I mean, it's like a little bit, it's not a perfect analogy, but it's a little bit like an Amitabh Bachchan. You cannot evaluate Amitabh Bachchan as somebody who's, 70 years and a character actor. I mean, that description in a technical sense is true for him, but in terms of the meaning that he carries for India and Indians, Amitabh Bachchan is much more. In a somewhat similar sense, Sachin is much more than just being a great cricketer. And which is the reason why there is an enduring, nature of his appeal. I am not arguing that it will be anywhere near the peak of his sort of performances and his career. There will be a tapering off. But I think his ability to continue to attract endorsements is arguably much greater than just any other very fine cricketers.
Prahlad Kakkar, do you agree with that? I mean, Santosh was talking about Amitabh Bachchan, but the fact is that even at 70, Amitabh Bachchan is acting. In a few years from now, Sachin won't be. Do you think there's a shelf life for iconic brands like Sachin?
He's an iconic brand himself, and there is no shelf life for him. Is there shelf life for Bradman? If today Bradman was available to do an endorsement, wouldn't everybody be queuing up? Despite the fact that he's an old man or was an old man and isn't playing anymore.
All right, Ajay Jadeja, one final word to you. You've shared the dressing room with him, and I know he was a great pal of yours. Have you had a word with him ever since he announced his retirement?
He's still playing Test cricket. I will like to be there on the last day that he plays Test cricket. And, the last conversation I have had, not in the recent past, very long time ago, on this topic, the only thing I had said is, let us know when you're going to be playing the last day. So I'd like to fly over to whichever country that you're playing. So I'm not even saying that in a couple of days or couple of months, but hopefully whenever he's going to be playing for the last time, we'll all be there watching him or applauding him for whatever he's done for all of us.